What's going on, guys? Figured I'd give you an updated tour of the kayak with the new modifications I've made. Had this thing for coming up on a year now, so it's been some changes to it. First thing, start at the front, move the rod tip protector and tied some line on. Use that to wrap up some rope for tying it off. Gonna cut this out and put a hatch in here though for access to the front to install LEDs and a Coast Guard approved light here. That'll come later. Get to how I'm going to wire that in a second. Finally, run the fish finder in hole. Used to have the cables just kind of zip tied up and put under these bungees, and it was real messy looking. So finally ran it in hole. Still through the scupper mount. Transducer still there. Doesn't drag on anything surprisingly, and hasn't in the past year. Haven't had a break or nothing, so works real well. Finally, wired up the yak power, which I've got the fish finder run on number 2 there. As you can see, it's lit up. And got it on simulator mode here. And you can see it's working just fine. You'll see these cables here. I'll get to those in a second. I'm sure you know what that is. But today I installed the Yak Attack HD lever lock anchor trawler system, which just that, lock it and put your anchor wherever you want, up and down the boat. I only ran mine up to here. As you can see, there's a lot of the boat I didn't cover, but I used to tie my anchor to here where the strand up assist strap is, and I actually liked where it was there, so I only ran it up to here. Still 10 foot of boat for you to adjust the anchor trolley on, so that's plenty. I'll mostly probably run it to the back because I tend to fish wind-blown banks, and by putting it to the rear, that will point my nose to the bank, so I'll be looking at the bank this way while I fish. Still got full access to the hatch. Got some cable management to do in there. It's my anchor. It's a 4-pound, which I don't know if I had this size last time I did a video, but if I didn't, I since upgraded. Put a carabiner on it, and I had an extra pad eye since I didn't run this all the way to the front. I installed it here with a split ring, and that is where I'll hook my carabiner to for my anchor. I'll run it up through here, clip it to here, run my anchor, and then I'm going to put a anchor cleat here, and I'll wrap my extra line around that. So that's how that's going to work. Still the same old stuff in there. Extra rod holders, lip grips, miscellaneous stuff. Dry bag storage. Still just keep my scupper plugs in there. Don't really use that when I'm on the water because it's kind of small, doesn't fit much. I wish they'd make that a little bit bigger. Let's see here. Still running the same Minn Kota battery. Plan on changing that. Here's the wires to the yak power system and the wires to my trolling motor. And getting to the trolling motor. As you can see, I have finally pulled the trigger and upgraded to a rear transom mounted trolling motor, which I used the old trolling motor mount that I had that ran in these rod holders across the back on a rod pole here and off to the side, which worked fine, but would tend to push the kayak kind of this way, which I wasn't too enjoying. Wasn't very efficient and couldn't get your full potential out of the trolling motor that way. So I went with the rear mount and removed the lock from it, so that way you don't get reverse, but I never used it anyways. So now if I hit a stump with it, I don't have to worry about it. It'll just pick up over the stump and set back down. And I run this in a lake that's real stumpy, and it works perfect. It glides right over them. This may look a little tight, but it's not. It's got plenty of slack. I didn't want a bunch of cable flopping around messing with my steering line, so I made that to where it's pretty taut but still loose filled that with silicone, so no dirt and water get in there. This here is my lift system, which is just a carabiner attached to some paracord. I took the old handle from back here for lifting it, since, you know, I don't really need it. And all I do is I just pull on this, and I have a hook here in which I'll just hook that to, and then that lifts the trolling motor completely up out of the water. And I'll usually set it up like this when I launch, paddle out until it's deep enough, pick it up, put it down, we're good to go. And so I just used a piece of all thread, drilled the shaft through, and flatten the ends here, and then put a split ring through them. That's that way I can attach carabiners, because this system is fully removable. 7-pin plug. Run some cables down, use eyelets to run them up top because I wanted to be able to see the line. Eyelets to guide it, just like everybody else does. Remove the locks from the foot pegs, run it through the hole that's already in there. I just tied them in a knot, heated it, and it works just fine. A lot of people put clamps on it. I don't think you need to. Works just fine. And as you can see, it turns it just fine, like that. And this thing turns really well, really sharp. Let's get to the other side here. A little rainwater in my garage. Just chopped the Minn Kota trolling motor head off and left the excess shaft from when I shortened it. I used to mount to the kayak. Then I just epoxied and sealed it. That runs it really well. Turn this here. You can see the motor turn. But I can turn that on. It spins up. Shut it off. And it's done. Eventually, like I said, I want to downsize this and run all that in here. So everything's in here, it'll be clean. And then I can run a yak crate or something back here. Scotty mount extra rod holders. That pretty much covers it. Like I said, I'm going to do LEDs soon. When I get that done, I'll do a separate video on it. If you want me to get more in detail on the trolling motor build, I guess if you want, I can do a video on it. But there's 100 videos out there on how to do this. So I didn't really feel the need to get too in-depth into that. But this is the Ascend FS128T. This is the 2018 with yak power. And like I said, I've had it for a year now, and I love it. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can.